Hello from Houston. This is Catherine Wintz, your favorite French realtor. And today we're going to be talking about zip codes. So this is a series about zip codes primarily because every once in a while I will divert a little bit and talk about specific areas of town. But today we're doing a zip code. Today we are doing 77005. And what we're going to be doing in 77005 and look into art, food, and real estate. So let's start with a little bit of history of West University. The city of West University Place, well, that is exactly that. It is a small city that's kind of surrounded on all parts by Houston, Texas. It was founded in 1910, and then they started selling lots in West U, as we call it over here, in 1917. Now, why West University? Well, because the boundaries of West University are Bissonnette to the north, Wesleyan to the west, Kirby Drive to the east, and then Bel Air Boulevard to the south. And directly to the east of West University is Rice University. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too. So basically, West University Place is west of Rice University, ergo the name. This is not the first master plan community that came up in the Houston area. The actual first one was the Heights, which was founded in 1891. But what happened with the Heights, though, is that in 1918, they needed money for the schools and probably other things as well. So they decided to get incorporated by Houston, Texas. Now, West U, on the other hand, in 1939, they were approached by Houston, who wanted to incorporate them, and they felt pretty confident that they could manage without their big brother. So they decided to not incorporate. So West University still is, to this day, an independent little town. The first city charter was actually adopted in 1940, and they have been thriving ever since. What's interesting, too, is even though this is a city of West University, they do have a Houston address. So it would be Houston, Texas, 77005, whether you are in West University or not. There are several parks in West U. There's a fabulous recreation center with a beautiful pool. So it's a very, very fancy place to live in. It's an expensive place to live in, but it's surrounded by all kinds of really neat amenities. So it's very much sought after. So here's something a little bit quirky about West University. I've been in real estate for a very long time, long enough to have used key maps. Some of you probably don't even know what a key map is. But let me put it to you this way. I'd be looking at a map of West University, and within the boundaries of West U, there will be a door. And I'm putting up a map so that you can visualize what I'm talking about here. So West U basically looks like a house with a chimney on the left side. And I kid you not, that area that's basically north of Bissonnette, between Wesleyan and Community, it's called a chimney, okay? It is called that in West U. And then the door is actually south side. Within the boundaries of West University, there is south side. South side, again, I kid you not, this is a little bit silly, but it is a city. It's a little city. It's only 1 block wide and maybe 10 or 12 blocks long. And it's a city. It also goes alongside Bel Air Boulevard. It's got actually quite a bit of commercial space comparatively to the size of it. There are about 1,900 people that live there, according to the 2020 census. So once again, what I wanted to bring up to you is the quirkiness of the map of West University. It does look like a house. South side is the door, and there is a chimney. There you have it. So West University is part of the two main neighborhoods in 77005. The other one is Southampton, which I will talk about a little bit more in the real estate section. So let's talk about Rice University a little bit. Rice University, which at the time was called the Rice Institute, opened up in 1912. It was funded and founded, I suppose, by the late William Marsh Rice. In a previous episode, I mentioned Rice in the downtown episode, I believe, because we still have the Rice lofts, the Rice building. And Rice was a businessman. He made his fortune in real estate. He was in cotton trading. He was in railroad development. At the time of his death, he was worth about $4.6 million. Now, $4.6 million in 1912, just in case you're wondering, it's about $140 million of today's dollars. So how did he die? Well, he was murdered. Big scandal. He was well into his 80s, I believe, at the time. And there was something about his lawyer wanted him to change his will. And he resisted that because he really, Mr. Rice, wanted to give his money to establish Rice University. So with the help of Mr. Rice's valet, the lawyer basically killed Rice. So that was, as you can imagine, a big hoopla at the time. So Rice specified that he wanted the Rice Institute to be a competitive institution of the highest grade. He also specified that it would only be for white students, which is not terribly surprising for the time, but there you have it. Now, to this day, and of course things have changed, to this day, Rice ranks regularly among the top private universities in the nation. So now I would like to tell you a little bit about famous alumni. Who went to Rice? Well, first of all, Rice has a close relationship with NASA and has had that for a long time. So a lot of astronauts and space scientists came out of Rice University. There are three lady astronauts in particular, whose name I have to look up: Shannon Walker, Janice Voss, Peggy Whitson. Also, Larry McMurtry, Pulitzer winner for The Lonesome Dove, graduated from Rice in 1960, I believe. Then there is Joyce Carol Oates, who also graduated from Rice, and Miss Oates had 3 novels, not just one, not just 2, but 3 novels shortlisted for the Pulitzer Prize. Anise Parker, former mayor of our city fairly recently, is a graduate from Rice University, and so is Ed Emmett, who was our Harris County judge. 2 Nobel Prize winners came out of Rice. The first one is Herman Joseph Mueller, and the other one is Robert Curl. So obviously, as you can see, a nice derivative there. And Howard Hughes. Now, if you're following me, I talk about Howard Hughes all the time. Have no idea what that is. I am not particularly fascinated by Howard Hughes, but there we have it. This dude comes up every corner. He lived in Montrose. What did he do? Oh, he's buried at the Glenwood Cemetery in the Washington Corridor. And he actually went to Rice. But the thing about Hughes, though, is that he actually dropped out. So, I don't know, lesson to be learned there. He never made it at Rice, but he certainly did make it in other arenas. So this show is about art, food, and real estate. So what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about art. Art in 77005. Well, there is a Moody Center for the Arts, and this is actually a fairly recent building that was built in 2017 within Rice University. And they do performances there, dance, theater, all kinds of different types of entertainment. There's also the MFA in 005. And I will tell you this, do not get me started on the MFA. I would talk about the MFA until the cows come home. So I will not, but let me just give you a little bit of information about the MFA. I've actually done a segment on the museum district when I speak at length about our beautiful Museum of Fine Art in Houston. The MFA has 3 buildings. We have the Law Building, the Beck Building, and now we have the Kinder Building. This is an absolutely amazing trove of gorgeous art. And anything you can possibly think about, you're probably going to be able to see it at the MFA. They are famous for their impressionists. They have a very nice modern collection. They have an impressive photography collection as well. And of course, what you would expect from a internationally renowned museum, antiquities, pottery, ceramics, you name it, it's all in there. So I would encourage you to go and check it out, especially on Thursdays when the museum is actually free and you can stay there until 9 p.m. So this is such a nice way to spend an evening, I think. In my book, it is. So that would be for the art section in 005. Now for the food section. So 005, when you're thinking about that zip code, the one cluster of restaurants that comes to mind is the Rice Village. So it's a little shopping center. Actually, when I say little, it's not so little, but it's a nice cluster of shopping opportunities, dining venues. And 3 restaurants come to mind. The first one is 60 Vines. Okay, so I'm French, and French people have a tendency to be a little bit obsessed about food, maybe a little bit obsessed about wine. I'm not obsessed about wine. I'm definitely obsessed about food. But still, 60 Vines. So this is a place that's got wine on tap. That's a concept. And you know, when you think about it, there used to be that wine had corks, right? And now wine has, little twisted tops here. So that's a different thing. That's definitely, I don't know if it's an improvement, but it is different. But wine on tap, though? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's great, but I haven't gone. I just looked it up, and I thought it was interesting, so I'm bringing it up to your attention, but I haven't gone to 60 Vines. I think it's a little bit unusual. Maybe I'll try it. We'll see. Now, what I do like in the Rice Village, though, and I have gone many, many times, is Prego. Prego doesn't disappoint. It's got some serious staying power. It's been around for many, many years. They have live music. The food is good. The service is good. You can park easily. So these are all good elements that make a nice evening at a restaurant. And then my favorite, Café Rabelais. So Café Rabelais, I used to go there. It's a little French bistro, cafe, restaurant. What's the difference, right? Well, there is a difference, but I won't bore you with it. But basically, the whole thing about Café Rabelais is that you go in and you expect maybe, 20 items on the menu, things that are kind of provincial cooking type items. And I used to go to Café Rabelais. Are you ready for this? It's not for sensitive people. For blood sausage. So if you've never had blood sausage, Café Rabelais had the best blood sausage. It's been a little while since I've been. So I went by recently, and I realized they no longer have the blood sausage on the menu, which I think is very, very sad, because they would grill that thing and serve it with sautéed pieces of apples and then some potatoes on the side, right? And I know you have to take my word for it, but this is really good stuff. If you can, get past the blood sausage thing, right? So this is what we call Boudin in France. And now would be a good time to tell you that Boudin in France and Boudin in Louisiana, 2 totally different things. I mean, the first time I was served Boudin here and I was expecting this and I got that, I was very disappointed. I'm like, that's not Boudin. But for Louisiana, it is. So totally different. And there's 2 kinds of Boudins in France. So there's the red one, which is the one I just described. I'm just not going to say those two words again. And then there is the white one. Now, the white Boudin, I don't even know what it's made with, to tell you the truth. It's a totally different ballgame. And this is a delicacy. And what I mean by that, this is the type of stuff that you eat for the holidays. So in a previous segment, I've said I've never been to a Christmas dinner in France and not had coquille Saint-Jacques, which is scallops, foie gras, oysters. Oh yeah, all of that, one after the other. And Boudin Blanc, white Boudin. It's really, really good. You grill it. It's really good stuff. So there you have it, Boudin. Now you know what Boudin is supposed to be like. All right. So after this fairly short section on art today and probably more information on Boudin that you ever care to have, but I want to make sure that you know things, right, when it comes to food. Then I'm going to switch to real estate. So real estate in West University is a big deal. What do I mean by that? Well, the average subdivision lot in Houston is 5,000 square feet, 50 by 100. And in the mid-90s, there was a serious construction boom going on in West University. And what happened there is that all those beautiful brick bungalows that were lining those streets in the 70s and 80s and very early 90s, well, they got basically torn down to make room for homes that were 4,000 or 5,000 square foot, 2 stories. When you put a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house on a 5,000 square foot lot, you end up with a very, very small backyard. Now, probably not a big deal, but I remember that the buzzword at the time was handkerchief backyard, or just something to emphasize the fact that the houses were really, really big and probably too big for the lots. This is also the 90s. This is the first time I actually heard the term mini Mac mansions, and it was in relation to what was being built in West University. Now, don't get me wrong, West University is a fantastic place to live. Not all the lots are 5,000 square feet. There actually are several sections that have much, much larger lots, gorgeous lots, and very large homes. Probably can't touch anything under $1 million at this point in West U. That would be my guess. It's been a little while since I looked. I mean, not years, but, So it's an expensive neighborhood. But again, the quality of living there is definitely up there. Now, I did say I was going to talk about Southampton in the real estate section. And I will basically say about Southampton that this is the one neighborhood that I wish I lived in. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous neighborhood. I love everything about it. The lots are larger. I don't think they have 5,000 square feet lot over there. It's wooded. It's quieter, less through traffic. It's basically just north of Rice University. Here we go again. South of 59. And it's an absolute gorgeous neighborhood. So I always thought, to live in Southampton. And then in Southampton, they also have certain small areas like Broadacres, which I mentioned at least a couple of times in previous segments. Broadacres, where basically each lot is an acre or close to it. So that's nice. So Southampton, by far my favorite neighborhood. So this is what I wanted to kind of share with you in regards to 77005, which is definitely one of our nicest, most exclusive zip code in Houston, Texas. Look me up for more diving into other nearby inner loop type zip codes. Until then, thank you so much for being with us. And here's to another zip code or two very, very soon. Au revoir.